Good afternoon, everyone. Well, I wish I could be there in person. Due to a prior conflict I had, I was unable to make it to the conference this year. Nevertheless, it's a pleasure to be here virtually with the Allegheny League of Municipalities and all of you. My name is Brett Stewart, and I am the Future of Fire Coordinator with the Congress of Neighboring Communities, or CONNECT. I want to first begin by thanking Jason and the organizers at ALOM for hosting this important conversation on the future of volunteer fire services in Allegheny County. I also want to thank our amazing moderator and panelists today for sharing their insight on this critical topic, as well as all the advisors, fire chiefs, and elected officials who have supported our work since we began almost a year ago. Before we get to the panel discussion, I'd like to share with you some of the challenges facing volunteer fire departments today, as well as the communities they serve in our region. I'll also explain what we're doing at Connect to support our volunteer fire departments in Allegheny County. And then afterward, the panel will continue this discussion on how the future of fire services might be shaped in the years to come. Now, what is Connect? Connect's mission is to provide policy solutions for this region's challenges due to the vast diversity of local governments in our region. It is the flagship initiative of the University of Pittsburgh's Graduate School for Public and International Affairs and acts as a point of contact and hub for our region's public administrative talent. The three key goals of Connect are bringing together the city of Pittsburgh and the surrounding municipalities, identifying common public policy challenges, and then advocating for collective action to solve the regional challenges faced in Allegheny County. To learn more, you can visit us at connect.pitt.edu to see all of the great work Connect is doing to support our communities. As many of you are aware, volunteer fire services in Pennsylvania are at risk due to the shifting trends dating back to the last 50 years. Many of you have probably seen firsthand some of the challenges facing volunteer fire departments in your communities, including declining volunteer rates, rapidly shrinking fundraising capacities, retention challenges, and so on. These trends are alarming and have created a situation where our volunteer fire departments face greater pressure to respond to non-fire related services, such as hazardous waste removal and vehicle debris cleanup, despite having fewer volunteers with limited training and for some a resistance to changing how they operate. And looking back at the Senate Resolution 6 or SR 6 report released back in 2018, we see these trends continuing from the decline of nearly 300,000 volunteer firefighters over the past few decades. That's an 87% decrease from 1970 to 2018, along to the financial burdens placed on our fire companies to our increasingly aging population. All of these issues combined have created what the SR 6 report labeled a crisis in our Commonwealth. Brain drain is also a key issue in our state. Data from the U.S. Census Bureau suggests a greater disparity between rural and urban regions, such as the population has shifted from those rural communities to more urbanized zones like Pittsburgh or Philadelphia. This trend has created a human resource drain on our more rural volunteer fire companies. And with the latest data from the 2020 census being released this year, these numbers are likely to be further exacerbated. And just to add, this trend, combined with the disparate coverage between urban and rural regions, particularly in regions with fire service coverage primarily from volunteer companies, shown in green here, could further jeopardize the capacity to provide effective services to our residents. All of this is to say that the current demographics and downward trends have resulted in an unsustainable model for the Commonwealth, which can result in closures, in mergers, and in consolidations, along with increased liabilities upon our fire departments that might be unable to respond to a 911 call in time. Despite this, if we switch all our volunteer fire departments to a paid model today, this could cost the state government roughly $6 billion in tax savings. And on the right, you'll see a few startling headlines that highlight the beginning of this crisis facing our fire and EMS providers. With all of this alarm in mind, Connect is focused on this issue by working on some initial research utilizing qualitative and quantitative approaches that found a few surprising trends, specifically within Allegheny County. The first of two reports from 2019 analyzed Allegheny County's volunteer fire departments and discovered a misallocation of resources from the overabundance of fire apparatus. Their findings indicated that Allegheny County communities, as a whole, have overpurchased millions of dollars of equipment that is likely duplicating our fire services, creating inefficiencies. And in the latest report, we conducted focus groups to dig deeper into the relationship between volunteer fire departments and elected officials. We found that one of the main areas of contention had been a breakdown of collaborative practices between elected officials and their volunteer fire chiefs, this has created numerous challenges for those communities as well, caused by a lack of what we call collaborative capacity. All of this spurred a new question from our research, such as how can we achieve collaborative action in the absence of a legal hierarchy? Especially in Allegheny County, we found a need to build cooperation between the public, volunteer fire chiefs, and their elected officials to increase their capacity to govern effectively and be able to understand each other's intentions and increase their transparency. However, our consensus is that before we get to the more technical data-driven solutions based out of the SR6 and previous reports, we need to build the process and capacity to come together and work on these issues in a more collaborative manner. This is being coined as collaborative capacity building, where we predicate our initial work on restoring and repairing the fractured relationships within the public sector and increase the capacity so that they may collaborate on these issues. Looking at this idea of improving collaborative capacity, our recommendations going forward are twofold. One is to focus our efforts to survey the current fire service relationships within Allegheny County. And the second is to build those critical partnerships between fire service providers and their elected officials to establish that mutual trust within the public safety sector. These will be accomplished through two primary goals in 2021 and 2022. The first goal that we are currently working on is the development of a needs assessment to identify capacity levels and potential programming communities actually want, rather than drawing up a one-size-fits-all approach that has failed in the past. And the second goal, based out of the needs assessment process, is to identify those collaborative programs communities may want and provide them the opportunities to engage within this sector to build collaborative capacity for years to come. This needs assessment process, which is currently being supported by a number of elected officials, fire chiefs, and subject matter experts, will be administered first to our Connect membership municipalities to better understand the collaborative capacity levels and will act as a pilot for our large-scale Allegheny County project, which will soon follow. This approach will help us decide potential programs to be utilized in 2022, along with judging the current type of process each community has that can better support their fire services or be replicated based off other models. While this may seem lofty, the DCD reported in 1999 that the most vibrant fire companies are those that maintain a strong working relationship with their local governments. And in 2002, the U.S. Fire Administration wrote that the challenge of improving our fire services while nationwide is specifically a local issue and must be addressed locally. Overall, the framework to improve our volunteer fire services is there. We just need to take the first step together. Thank you for your time, and thank you to the panelists who will further share with you their insight on what the future of fire services may look like in the years to come. If you have any questions or would ever like to connect with me after the conference, please feel free to email me at my address here below. And before I leave, I have a few general questions for us to consider as we move forward in this discussion for the years to come, including what will the future of fire services look like in 2025 or in 2040 with or without action? And what can we do today to build the framework to improve these trends for tomorrow? Thank you again, and I'm looking forward to connecting with all of you in person.